All right, welcome. I actually could have left the music playing, so let's do that. Welcome, welcome. A little bit of Little Warhammer 2 multiplayer today. Not too much more time for this, to be honest. A few more months, but yeah, with all the Warhammer 3 coverage, figured I would take a break and just bring you guys some live King of the Hill battles. So welcome. We've got a few people here, a few more trickling in. And we're going to be getting started very shortly. Let me just go in here and get the scoreboard ready. Okay, things are looking good here. Get my King of the Hill scoreboard ready. I probably should have done this beforehand, but that's okay. This, and we got this. Hopefully you all are well today. Doing pretty good myself. Just been, busy. I decided to take yesterday off just because I was getting a little bit burned out. Yeah, just enjoying the Warhammer 3 coverage. I'm honestly pretty stoked. Obviously going to get it and play it regardless. Some people are worried about some certain things, and I do think there's, kind of minor, small things that we should look at and sort of think about. But, go ahead and transition over here. Now we've got it. So, going to be Deadly Bunnies versus Coops here to start. PE versus BBB. Let these guys get their army picks locked in. Yes, welcome, welcome, welcome. Nice Sunday morning stream for you all. Again, took yesterday off, but the Warhammer 3 coverage will resume. I'm going to showcase a few more battles, not too many more, probably like 3 or 4. Probably 3 more videos total, including 4 battles. One of them is going to be a double cast, but start disliking weekend is no news coming out. Well, I totally understand that, 100%. It's been a literal everyday news day, right, in the week. So for me, it's a nice chance to relax, take a chill, just hang out for a bit, have some fun, get caught up on my personal life and other things. But definitely been a lot of fun. Everything looks great, arts-wise, and it seems like their head is in the right place in terms of fun new design. It's just obviously going to depend on what the execution is. This is Total War Warhammer 2 music. Or, no, sorry, Medieval 2 music, not Warhammer. Total War Medieval 2 music, yes. Classic Total War soundtrack, one of the best of all time. Wonder how Beastmen and Slaanesh will play. They seem very similar. Fast and armored chaff, diverse chariot. Slaanesh has more light cavalry options, less big monsters. I think that's a pretty fair assessment. I mean, we'll have to see what the Keeper of Secrets stat line looks like. But it definitely seems to be the fastest of the demon factions. A lot of shock damage potential. I'm genuinely curious to see how strong those chariots are. They look insanely strong. But we'll have to wait and see, obviously. Let's go ahead and get in on the builds here. Starting with Deadly Bunnies, Dark Elves. I see some Witch Elves standing in for Demonettes. It's interesting too. A lot of people think that the Cultist for Slaanesh is going to be an elf lady because there was like a very small pixelated image that looked like one in the actual Slaanesh army, and then obviously you have the statues in the cinematic that look like they could potentially be a Slaaneshi cultist, which would make sense. It'd be pretty cool, I think, too, for the Slaaneshi cultist to be an elf. But I've got some Dread Spears here. We've got Malekith. Sisters of Slaughter, Repeater Crossbows, Dark Riders, Cold One Dread Knights. Leading the way, going to be Malekith on a Cold One. Love that pick. Off meta, definitely very cool. No Manticores, which is nice to see. On the flip side, looks like we've got Oxyotl with a Skink Priest Lord of Beasts, whole bunch of cohort of Sotek, Skink cohort as well, Chameleon Skinks, Chameleon Stalkers, And some Cold One Spear Riders, Feral Cold Ones in the back, just to provide a little bit more numbers. Yeah, Cathay, the main difference between Cathay and the Empire is the Empire has a lot better mobility. Like, Cathay doesn't have any missile cavalry, right? Whereas Empire has Outriders, Pistoliers, War Wagons, all of which are pretty good mobile DPS. Obviously you have Empire Knights, Reichsguard, Knights of the Blazing Sun, and Demigryph Knights, whereas Cathay only has like one unit of Jade Warrior Cavalry, basically, plus your light cavalry. So in terms of flexibility, tactical flexibility, and mobility, Empire has a lot more. I think Cathay is better on defense, and their infantry might be slightly more cost-effective, depending on how the price points shake out, but at least on the defense. And they might be slightly better at stationary shooting. Well, they'll definitely be better at stationary shooting from the outset until Empire gets Hochland long rifles, which I do expect to happen at some point. But Deadly Bunny's going to move up here, use these repeater crossbows to go directly after the Cohort of Sotek. Decently high-value target. Oxyotl returns fire, though, immediately just kills a couple of those Dark Riders. There's not a lot of range, actually. I think, is Oxyotl the only range here, which is maybe going to be a problem? But Cold One Riders, Dread Knights even going to move in with Malekith and just start to demolish this front line. Cold One Dread Knights are really good in this matchup right now, but looks like we got a Manticore summon pulled up. This kind of flank force of Chameleons is out pretty wide right now. They definitely need to get in this fight and start supporting. Deadly Bunnies really could collapse this pocket pretty quickly. Right now, he's sort of biding his time a little bit, but it looks like the Sisters of Slaughter are going to start to move in. Repeater crossbows will definitely get a pretty good number, but this fight, I will think, would go pretty favorably for Dark Elves, given they have the better support units in that fight, but we'll see. Chameleons now making their way to the flank here. Having those Stalkers in the front to shock the Sisters of Slaughter would have been really nice. A nasty Soul Stealer coming in here too, hitting all these Lizardmen troops. When I say nasty, it's really not that much value at the end of the day. Feral Cold Ones getting in there. Great charge on those Dark Riders. They should be able to do decently well. The rest of the army here, you can see the Chameleons. Stalkers are going to get eaten up again by Dread Knights here, which is not the best, but we'll see if they can hold out and survive, perhaps. Oxyotl now getting inundated by light cavalry is a problem for him. He definitely needs to stay away from Malekith as much as possible, but a nasty Gaze of Malice rips through some skink cohort there. The Dread Knights eventually do get through. They're not actually cleaning up the Stalkers all that quickly, though, and just lots of Overwatch fire from the other Chameleons, definitely making their presence felt. You can see the Dread Spear starting to take some of that damage as well. The Feral Cold Ones come back, do some really nice disruption after cleaning up those light cavalry. Super cost-effective there. But now Oxyotl being surrounded by the Dark Rider is not going to be the best thing in the world. He'll be alright, but it does look like Malekith sees the opening. He's going to move over there and start to interrupt. Maybe not interrupt. Maybe that's not the best use. You know what I mean. Just start to wreck poor Oxyotl. He really doesn't have much HP either, so a Flock of Doom is going to try and help get rid of those Dark Riders, but really, like, Amber Spear would be the best thing at this point. Cold One Riders also move in and enrage. They should be able to rout those Dark Riders, and if Oxyotl can then squeeze away, get out of Malekith's grip, he should be able to survive, but we'll see. It's definitely not looking great for him right now. Cold One Riders have enough mass. They should be able to block Malekith in, but it's all a matter of time before he gets away, and that Soul Stealer, ooh, could finish things for Oxyotl. Oxyotl doesn't have much HP left. That'll probably also finish off the Cold One Spear Riders there, so not looking great so far. But the Stalkers have moved in, started to clean up some of those Spearmen and whatnot. Skinks in general just kiting around these Cold One Dread Knights, which is pretty good, but Oxyotl going down here is a big problem. Obviously, the balanced power going to reflect that. One unit of Cold One Spear Riders, basically unused at this point, is going to move in and try and get on Malekith. That'll be alright. Anti-large AP damage there, you can see with the charge bonus active. They do get some hits, but Oxyotl, see if he's going to be able to actually hit Malekith in here. Gaze of Malice, again, used to try and bail Malekith out. Does clear out the Skinks, but the Cold Ones are just fine. It's full health unit of Sisters of Slaughter, though, moving into support. They should be able to bail out Malekith in pretty big hurry, but he is taking a substantial amount of damage during this time as well. Another Flock of Doom. Oh man, Malekith is just getting pounded here by these Cold One Dread Knights. Cold One Spear Riders. That is pretty impressive. Oxyal is going to pop his stock ability and try and just run away, I would think. Or no, maybe stay on and try and finish off Malekith with his ranged attacks. But the rest of the army's pretty much done for at this point for the Lizardmen, getting pretty close to army losses. Yeah. Empire is like Cathay is like Empire crossed with dwarfs. That's a pretty safe assessment. They also have even more of a monstrous presence than either of those factions. They actually have the best monstrous presence of any human faction, I would think, just because, like, you have the steam tank, technically, yes. Like, Kislev, I guess, also has the big bear. So they're maybe on par, but they don't have any lord-level monsters, right? And Cathay has both lord-level monsters and unit-level monsters, and just in general, yeah. You've got the Sentinel, you've got Miao Ying, you've got Zhang. Should be interesting. I mean, Empire is a steam tank. Kind of a monster, but I don't know. Anyway. Fun battle. The Lizardmen aren't quite able to hold out there. Just a little bit of, I think, mispositioning initially. I like that flank attack on paper, but it just took a little bit too long to bring to bear. And I think had those chameleons and stalkers just been screening the front line, they could have maybe done some initial shock damage to the Sisters of Slaughter, which definitely would have evened things out. Dread Knights are definitely a problem in this matchup for Lizardmen for the time being, but possibly you should bring maybe a unit of Sora Spears here just to help out with that. Malekith getting a lot of value as well. Yeah, pretty good stuff. Yeah, Griffin's technically a monster just like the Cathay Dragon, and I guess the Steam Tank's technically a monster like the Sentinel, right? But the Sentinel is definitely more of a pure monster, whereas the Steam Tank's kind of like a chariot that causes terror. That also has an artillery attack. Anyway, a little bit of an odd one. Let's see, who's up next on the list? We don't have a ton of people on the King of the Hill list today, but if anyone wants to join... We have Von Karstein in here. And he's in already. Let me then switch up the map. Let's do Bloodpine Woods. Cool. Yeah, I got Neckbit. We'll get him on here as well. Cool. Good stuff. Not that playlist. Here we go. Let's do this playlist here. Excellent. Yeah, Sisters are decent. You know, I had a good game with them recently against, I think it was against Skaven, maybe? I gotta look. I have a bunch of replays I need to cast that I've been neglecting because of the Warhammer 3 coverage. So expect some of those going forward, probably through the holiday season as the news cycle starts to slow down a little bit for Total War Warhammer. Let me also update the scoreboard here. Let's do this. D bunnies. There we go. With a score of 1. Yeah, Coops. Yeah, the Sisters of Slaughter plus Dread Knights is an unusual combination, but it's one I actually like quite a bit. Thinking about it, because the Sisters of Slaughter are fast enough to kind of support well. They have poison, so the Dread Knights provide the heavy shock, well, the heavy and the shock, right, and sort of the defensive capabilities. So those two units do synergize pretty well. I mean, Sisters of Slaughter also have pretty good defense, so I don't know. It's an interesting combination, but yeah, Sisters are making a little bit of a comeback these days. Hey, what's up, Emperor? Hello there. Welcome. Welcome, welcome. Okay, so it looks like Daily Bunny is going to go Lizardmen and ban Coast and Dowie. So let's see what Karstein decides to do in return. Yeah, it has been quite a bit of time. Unfortunately, I've just, with the Warhammer 3 coverage, I mean, we've had some live streams for that, but for actual Warhammer 2 battles, it's been too long. I haven't been streaming this nearly enough as I should, so we're getting back to it. The Teach Me Total War stuff, it went pretty well. The tournament itself was last week, and it was streamed on Total War's official channel, so I'll have to grab a link to a VOD when I get the chance, and you guys can go and watch that. I will be casting some of the replays that didn't get casted in the main tournament, you know, kind of in the next few weeks. You guys will see some replays from that. Definitely was a lot of fun, though. I had a great time. It was a good time, for sure. Perhaps, although I do think that the ogres have enough healing potential that they should be okay. Kind of depends. They're not going to be a very tanky faction at all, and I do think they're going to be vulnerable to kind of just low-tier missile spam, but I don't know. Yeah. It's been a busy time for everyone. I've had quite a bit of stuff going on in my personal life over the last few weeks as well. Tuesday is actually my birthday, so I'm going to be doing another, probably King of the Hill stream on Tuesday. But, yeah, it's just some stuff that's people in my life are going to be out of town for my birthday, so we were kind of celebrating a little bit earlier on and just, you know, busy with things. Have some family coming in from out of town, and, yeah. Haven't had as much time as I would have liked over the past month or so, but that's okay. We will continue on. Game 3 ever approaches, and we'll look forward to that. I'm really hoping that in multiplayer that it's not just the new factions that are available, and I do think that's the case. At the very least, we did see in one of the videos what appeared to be the Warriors of Chaos custom battle selection screen, so I'm hoping that means that, you know, at least some of the factions are going to be included. If not playable in the campaign, at the very least playable in custom and multiplayer from the outset. Yeah, I hope the Iron Fist Shield Ogres are around that price range. I think that would work pretty well for them. Because then you could, you know, spam them and have them be just a main part of your army. The issue is the anti-large thing, right? And they didn't give ogres that I have seen any negative AoE anti-large abilities, but them and Bretonnia both I feel like need that, just as to have some kind of at least temporary counterplay to, you know, the obvious thing to do against them in multiplayer. But I don't know. The thing about ogres kiting is I need to see how their artillery is in action. Like, I need to see lead belchers more. I need to see the scrap launcher more. I need to see the cannon chariot thing more. I forget what it's called. And the fact that man-eater pistols can now move while firing as well. I think all of that combined, plus the Noblar trappers having a ranged attack and also having a speed debuff, I think it's not going to be a big problem. I actually think ogres will be a decent shooting faction. We'll see. But, yeah, I don't know. The Ogre Cav is pretty fast. I want to say it's in the 70 speed range, but it may be lower, maybe in the 60s speed range. You could check right now. I think it's the same, from what I saw, as it is in Total Warhammer 2. The Mornfang Cavalry. Anyway, let's look at some builds here for Deadly Bunny's Lizardmen. He's got a Life Slon, yes. The Slons are going to be nice because the Greater Arcane Conduit will just straight up increase the power of your spells, whether that's damage or healing or whatever, so that's going to be really good. Slons will be even better in Game 3. We've also got Saurus Spears and Shields, some Skink Cohorts with Javs, Horned Ones. So again, kind of like the Dread Knights, adjacent to them, the Horned Ones are also an elite armor-piercing melee cavalry, which are pretty good in the Cavalry Beta, which obviously went live. We've also got some Clever Girls here. We've got some great Stag Knights and Blade Riders of Spears, including the RORs here. That's going to be a pretty good pick if there's not much magic damage, which it doesn't look like there is. I mean, outside of the Slon's abilities here. We've also got an Ancient Tree Man. Love this pick Wildwood Rangers in the woods. What is this build? I love it from Von Karstein. Starfire Shafts, Hagbane Tips, Dryads up front. I've got a few Eternal Guards with shields here. Oh man, these Glade Riders are going to have a pretty bad time against everything that's there. But quick hit and run from the Stag Knights. These Horned ones, oh man, this could be rough. Although, I must say, the Stag Knights are going to miss their charge here, but they're still fighting in the woods, which is a huge advantage to them. But definitely needed to see some healing as soon as possible from the Ancient Tree Man to help them sustain. But they get the support of the rest of the Stag Knights and the Glade Riders there, so that should be okay. Meanwhile, out on the other flank, these Glade Riders are only going to last a certain amount of time, so the Horned ones moving in, they're an ever-present threat. It looks like we're going to have, yeah, Dwellers Below. I think from the Slon, yeah, he does have Dwellers Below, so that's going to do a little bit of damage to the Sylvan Knights, but they're able to mostly get away there. Obviously, a stationary effect. That should be just fine. In the front line, I mean, Dryads trading well into Skinks, as to be expected. Clever Girl's going to get home on these archers, though. That's a pretty good get for them. Meanwhile, those Horned ones just got absolutely smoked, just cleaned out by all those Sylvan Knights. Treeman moves over, though. He's all of a sudden in a relatively exposed position. The Horned ones will trade pretty well here with their good AP damage. I mean, what, 60 weapon damage? Man, did these guys get a buff when I wasn't looking? I swear they were in the 50s range, but yeah, full-on 60 weapon damage. Pretty strong, but Sylvan Knights also, I mean, 60 weapon damage on them as well, 69 in fact. They're going to countercharge back in here. The Horned ones just duking it out here with the Stag Knights. Stag Knights are substantially bigger, but the Horned ones are nonetheless just as impressive, I'd say. And all of those Glade Guards are going to rout, which is a big problem, but these Wildwood Rangers being in here to support this engagement could come in pretty clutch. The Elves just don't have enough models at this point to try and sustain, but they're getting back in this fight. Let's see, must see a Scroll of Shielding here. Is there a regrowth as well? There is. I'm not sure about the Winds of Magic situation, but the regrowth needs to happen as soon as possible on these Lost Sylvan Knights. Otherwise, the Wood Elves are just going to lose out too much there, and it does look like Earthblood and regrowth also. Regrowth, no, that's actually on the Horned ones there. That the Earthblood was popped. The regrowth does go on the Sylvan Knights, so I mean, obviously the healing Cav Blob is a classic combination for any faction which has access to Lure of Life. Hasn't been super common for the Lizardmen over time because the Life Slon, you know, the Horned ones haven't really been an amazing pick in the lifespan of the Life Slon here. But currently, as it stands, I definitely see this build being a bit more viable going forward. But let's see how it does. Here, it looks like the Wood Elves are running pretty low on model count, unfortunately. This is one of the tougher matchups, I think, for Wood Elves, honestly. Not perhaps their toughest matchup. Just because the Lizardmen have quite a bit of tools here, but despite not having much in the way of magic damage to take down the Lost Sylvan Knights, they're just, you know, through attrition, able to deal with them here. And how about these Cold One Riders getting in here, contributing very cost-effectively? The Horned ones also just completely relentless at this point, not allowing those Lost Sylvan Knights to get away. Blood Statue of Spite item from the Salon, you don't see it too much, but it does do a little bit of direct damage. Magic, obviously, so that'll help chip away at those Sylvan Knights, and it looks like it's going to be victory for the Wood Elves. Yeah, the Horned ones getting stomped by Stags, but there were just enough of a volume of Horned ones here. What was there, like 3 Horned ones, 2 Cold One Riders? I mean, heavy cavalry builds historically have been very good against Wood Elves. And the Lizardmen just going in that direction here. Sylvan Knights continuing to hold out, but they can only hold out for so long. Slon could even move into melee here and start to zap some of them, as he does have obviously magic attacks in melee. But man, the Ancient Tree Man moves in. He's also pretty healthy. The Wood Elves are not out of this. I mean, they might run into army loss issues, but if he can slap down the Slon, the Ancient Tree Man's no pushover by any means. Definitely pretty strong. I just don't know, with all these Horned ones still being as healthy as they are, and the Cold One Riders, there's still tons of Saurus Spears too. I just don't see how the Wood Elves can make this work, but they are holding out better than I expected, even in this late game. Another heal there for the Lizardmen. Slon is just going to have more Winds of Magic to be able to heal. Then the Ancient Tree Man will get access to here. He is just a better healer, even though the Ancient Tree Man definitely a better combatant, so... Two Lord of Life bros duking it out here. With their monstrous cavalry supporting, looks like the Lizardmen are going to get the better of that engagement, but the Sylvan Knights still somehow nice rear charge delivered here to the Solar Spears. There's only 11 models left, though, so the impact of it is not too great. Shield of the Old One's also being popped again, and this should be it. Army losses is so close at this point. I would think as soon as the Lost Sylvan Knights are gone, that's going to probably be it. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking, Raw Cauliflower. Like, skirmish cavalry I don't think will be that good against the Ogres, because I think they'll have enough range pressure to deal with it effectively. Whoops, just skipped straight past the army values. My apologies. I know a lot of you guys watching after the fact like me to look at those, but yeah, that's just how it goes sometimes. Deadly Bunnies continuing the reign of terror, going to 2 wins on the day. So let's get our next challenger in here. That is going to be Storm Runner. Has to be one of my favorite usernames, honestly. Excellent. Let's go Bleak Coast Isle South for this next one. Yes. Yes. Vanguard builds are pretty fun. A little risky sometimes. Depending on the situation, kind of the map, you can try and not Vanguard on top of each other if you play your cards right, but let's see what we can do here. Yeah, like if you kind of, you have to eyeball it a little bit, but you see with your own deployment zone, or sorry, with the enemy's deployment zone, how there's like an area you can't Vanguard inside of, you know, within a certain distance. If you kind of visualize that for your own deployment zone and try and think about like, okay, if I don't deploy my units outside of that space, you know, I can still deploy them forward, but not at risk of being on top of my opponent's units. But anyway, I'm gonna go grab a drink of water. I'll be right back, guys. Okay, still waiting on Stormrunner, I see. Might have to jump in myself if we don't hear from him soon. Yes. Do you have any info on why we're not receiving any Kislev battle video? My guess, I don't have any real information. You'd have to ask Creative Assembly on their Discord or on, you know, the Reddit or forums or whatever, but my guess is, considering we all got to play Kislev back in spring, early summer, my guess is they thought, like, people had seen enough Kislev gameplay and just, you know, given the time constraints that they had, they decided to go with those factions in order to showcase you know, some other things besides Kislev, which in hindsight definitely would have been good for them to include Kislev footage, in my opinion. Yeah, would have been nice, but I don't think it's anything nefarious. Like, I think some people were thinking like, oh, Kislev must be terrible. It's like, no, we've actually already seen quite a bit of Kislev. It's just, you know, they might be doing some tweaks. I do think they said they were going to address the bear color issue, so we should see some minor tweaks from what we saw in that preview, but it is what it is. I don't necessarily know. I don't think there's any kind of grand conspiracy or anything, but let's get Neckbed in here. He can, just because I think Stormrunner might have gone AFK. That's okay. Kislev, I really want them to implement the sleigh mounts for the Ice Queen and for the Ice Witches. Just because... Okay, cool. All set here. Yeah, the mount issue, though, for Kislev, getting back to that, sorry, just getting distracted. The mount issue is a serious issue. Why they decided to go with bears only, Warhorse and Warbear, as the mount for every single Kislev character, I'm not really sure, but I think they need sleighs. They need some mount variety of some kind, especially looking at some of the other, like the demon factions, for example. All the dudes, for the most part, the demon dudes can take cool mounts. Like, yes, the cultists maybe only have access to horses or whatever, but like just some of the other hero level mounts that are coming in the game. I mean, the bear is not bad. Never look a gift bear in the mouth, but I want to go for a sleigh ride, you know? Over the hills and through the woods. Katarina's house we go. All that jazz. All battles as Lizard. Uh-oh. Nope. I think we're gonna ban this. I hadn't heard about the Kossars going from a mixed to a male only. I don't know. Yeah. I don't really care, but yeah. I'm excited to see it in action. Keep it? Oh no. Oh, this is gonna be a terrible battle. That's okay, you know? That's okay. Sometimes you gotta fight through the awful stuff. I could mandate that one of them take something terrible, but let's just let him do it. Once in a while, we'd like to watch Helmengorst play bumper cars and run into himself, you know? Once in a while. Pretty crazy to think back, you know, at this channel, all the English is hard. It's crazy to think back all the videos on this channel over the years. Like, when we get close to the release of Game 3, I may do a reacting to my old videos video or stream or something. Just so that I can, yeah, kind of see what we used to be all about. Yeah, just campaign exclusive units. There was some variety. That's good. That helps bring a little bit of variety to this matchup. But anyway, I was totally just getting distracted on my train of thought. Yeah, reaction to my old videos, or maybe I'll do like these are my favorites of my, you know, old videos. It could be interesting. It could be fun to go back and look and see, like, man, I remember that one, I remember this one, because let's see, just out of curiosity, as these guys are getting loaded in, how many videos have I actually produced? I mean, the vast majority of them are Total War Warhammer 2, so... let's see, if I go to my playlist, just Total War Warhammer 2, 1,500 videos. That's ridiculous. 1,525 Total War Warhammer 2 battle videos? That is insane. I don't know if I'll have time to go through all those to pick out my favorites, but what a journey it's been, guys. Thank you all so much. What is this? What is this? Okay, this is correct. This is fine. Okay, so they're gonna have a little bit of a shootout here. Strigoi Vampire Lord. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 gunners. Is that right? Am I counting that right? Yeah, 12 gunners and Black Knights and a Strigoi Vampire Lord. Is that the same build on both sides? Okay, so... No, this guy brought... Okay, so Neckbet brought even more guns. Right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7... Yeah, he brought like 14, 15 guns. Let's see how this goes. You know, I thought we were, but I'm just going to let it happen because there's, you know, less undead here, which I think is a win for everyone, so this is fine. I'll allow it. Yeah, well, you could argue that the Famir Balefiend is another one that you use in melee because of the armor sundering. Hero level casters that are like, you know, fighter hero hybrids or fighter caster hybrids. I'm trying to think. I'm sure there's some, but a lot of them you're right. You don't want to use them in melee, but a few of them do. Any of them with chariot mounts, you kind of are incentivized to use them in melee. But this is called Vlad and Strigoi Have a Disagreement Involving Guns, which is quite a long title, I'll grant you, but it's certainly descriptive. Thankfully there's no artillery, so it's just an old-fashioned shootout. Camp's best range faction confirmed, right? Just you wait. I'm pretty stoked, though, to have a, you know, a gunpowder-only FFA featuring Dwarfs, Kislev. Oh, man, we have, like, 6 gunpowder factions now, right? Because you have Coast, Dwarfs, Empire, Kislev, Cathay. Maybe you could include Skaven in that as well. So, that's a lot of guns. Chaos Dwarfs eventually, too. We're going to have, like, a full-on... tournament, like a faction war, a turn-style faction war, but with gunpowder-only factions. Oh, Vlad's winding up. He lets fly. Oh, a brutal hit on that Gaze of Nagash. Will it end up being worth it in terms of Winds of Magic? Let's see, but the cavalry of the Strigoi here could play a pretty big role. Black Knights, no lances, are pretty fast. 78 speed is actually really fast for a heavy cavalry unit. They're, like, faster than the Tomb King's light cavalry even, I think. So pretty impressive. Honestly, Black Knights are incredibly underrated. The lances, I think, too, are only, like, slightly slower. They might be 76 speed, I think, but... Ogres is gunpowder. Yeah, they have cannon units. Ogres are absolutely gunpowder. Let's see what they can do. Guns are moving into position. It looks like Neckbet's going to get the first volleys here, but Deadly Bunnies definitely has a much greater not greater volume. He's got the cavalry advantage. Neckbet's definitely got more of a volume, and his units are also spread a little bit more thin. Let's see if that actually ends up benefiting here. Yes. Another Gaze of Nagash. Vlad getting into the spirit of things, blowing up some of his own troops on that miscast, but that's just fine. You can see that the handguns do concentrate pretty heavily as the Black Knights come in and start to collapse, but they will clean up these units very, very quickly. So Deadly Bunnies really just needs to keep up the pressure as much as possible here. More Black Knights moving in on the side. Oh, these ones actually have lances and barding, so they should get the better of this head-to-head charge for sure. They will absolutely smash their brethren. Meanwhile, over here, these ones starting to crumble. One unit is crumbling. They'll still keep fighting, obviously, but they're not too much longer for this world. This other unit as well. That cavalry disruption has allowed Deadly Bunnies to fire mostly unopposed here, though, as Neckbet is sort of forced to respond. He should get some of his guns start coming back from route, but right now it looks like Deadly Bunny's got a pretty good advantage. He does manage to actually shatter a few units here, a couple of units of handguns, actually, which is not ideal for Neckbet, but let's see. Deadly Bunny's also running out of cavalry now, so that cavalry push is over. Let's see if the Black Knights with lances can actually respond, maybe get a little bit of a countercharge in here. But nice concentration of fire. There go Black Knights. Now it's all up to the guns, gun versus gun. Let's see the Strigoi. It's pounded. Another Gaze and Nagash getting him. So Neckbet going for the Lord Snipe here to see if he can even out the leadership situation. But with just Vlad against all those guns, I'm not sure how it's going to go. Black Knights with lances have now won it. Well, just about. There's still a handful left, but let's see. They too take some brutal volleys there as well, as they're all kind of turned facing just a couple of those troops. They now push through. They're going to try and get a charge. Come on, boys. Let's go. There it is. Try and get a charge in here. Invocation to heck to heal them back up, start to restore some of their unit models. So there it is. Nice charge in there. 62 charge bonus, 42 weapon strength. Actually exactly the same as Reiksguard. They're essentially undead Reiksguard, but faster and cheaper and better. And because of that, that said, the gun line of Neckbet here has been broken. The initial cavalry disruption allowed the Strigoi guns to get the better of this engagement. The real winner is the vampire that gets to raise dead all these handgunners. Oh, I know, right? Absolutely. Look at that focus fire there. That unit just gets absolutely annihilated. Whipped almost to the man by bullets. Just hail of gunfire. Vlad making his way forward now. He gets in with the support of the Black Knights. He's going to try and stay close to them. He keeps pressure on the Strigoi. Have to be a little bit careful, though, of the overshots getting friendly fire on those Black Knights. Definitely would try to keep them alive as best he can, but the terror of Vlad kicking in. Empire handgunners getting terrified away. Sylvanian handgunners, obviously. Not Empire handgunners, but a lot of Vlad's guns are actually shattering at this point. This is a potential disaster for him. He does have Raised Dead to try and sustain with zombies through this late game, but let's see. There's still so many guns here for the Strigoi. But, yep, here comes some Raised Dead. Vlad gonna get some zombies involved. They should do just fine fighting these surrounded handgunners. He talked about Raised Dead. There you go. Hey, what's up, dog? Welcome, welcome. Yes. There it is. So Vlad with the summon gets one unit terrified away. Unfortunately, the Black Knights did crumble, so they're not going to be able to continue keeping up the pressure, helping to rout these various units. And now Vlad pops the Karstein ring to help defend some of that damage as he continues pursuing these handgunners. It may take some time, if the Strigoi is even able to finish off Vlad, for him to do so. But Vlad's handgunners still hanging around, just being annoying, kind of picking away at these handgunners, picking away at these handgunners. Zombies keeping up the pressure as well. We did see quite a few Gaze of Nagashes, which did not finish off the Strigoi. So, will Vlad have enough to get effective summons here? Raised Deads. This summon's probably almost done on its timer. Yeah, it's getting pretty close. Did manage to route that handgunner a few more times, but... Ooh, there's another Raised Dead. Deadly Bunny's able to mostly dodge that. Knights of the Stubborn Bull and more, yes. I agree. The Empire campaign-only units are a lot of fun. And, like, some of them are actually... would be pretty decent. The Noble Sons Abroad, I would probably take... in certain situations where I wanted a better missile cavalry that's slightly better in melee. Oh, Vlad. Oh, Vlad. Oh, the guns. Vlad's about to have a pretty bad day, all things considered. Okay. Sorry about that. This balloon is, like, attacking me. I'm gonna have to deal with it after the fact. Yeah, I think they're mostly cost-balanced, the Empire ones. Not all of the campaign-only units are cost-balanced, but a lot of them are. The Tomb Kings ones are probably the most unbalanced. And, like, the greenskins, like, Fire Spiders, are also literally the same cost, even though they're AP, which is obviously not cool. But that's alright. That is alright. They don't really have any synergy for them, so I guess how powerful is it really? Hard to say. Yeah. The Strigoi, though, superior cavalry force, does end up winning the day, even though they don't necessarily pay for themselves. Just disruption allows the inferior gun line to get in here and just get the work done. Man, Sylvanian handgunners all doing a great job. On the flip side, the other handgunners, interestingly, not as good a value. Not really sure, even though there's more presence of guns there, just not able to bring them to bear because of the cavalry situation, so... yes. Yes, yes. Yeah, the spider hatchlings are super annoying. Yes. So let's see. If there's anyone else who wants to jump in, I think Stormrunner might have disappeared, so... We really only been going for less than an hour? Been going for less than an hour. We've got through, what, 3 battles? 4 battles? Oh, man. That might have to be it for me for today, guys. Unless there's anyone else that wants to jump in. Ah, there's Stormrunner. Okay. Cool. Welcome, welcome. Yes. Yes, yes. That's alright if we don't have the longest stream in the world today. I wanted to just do something quick to come hang out with you guys. I actually probably should do some patron practice sessions today. I see some of my patrons hanging around chat here. Coops, the Emperor, some others. So maybe we could do some sessions later on if you guys are interested. But I probably will actually call it after this particular battle. So Deadly Bunnies claims victory on the stream just by default. But let's see if Stormrunner can knock him off for the last battle. Yeah, if you guys want to jump in, we could keep it going. I don't mind. We could go for another hour or so. But let me go grab a drink of water, guys. I'll be right back. Okay, I am returned. I just cracked the window open because it's getting pretty nice outside today. Okay, Coops, no worries. Yeah, I should be available tomorrow later afternoon. I do have some stuff in the morning, early afternoon, but later afternoon, like 4-ish, 3 or 4. Should be able to get you in. But yeah, we could do yours today, Emperor, certainly. A lot of people are banking theirs for Game 3, which is totally fine, understandable. Mm-hmm. Yep. Yep. Interesting. Very, very interesting. GGX. I don't think I'm even familiar with this clan. It is cool to see all the clans popping up, though. And I just want them to talk about multiplayer. Like, I want to see if / what they have planned for this new domination mode, any other kind of multiplayer progression systems, because honestly, like, this is something I was thinking about the other day. One of the best things you can do to keep people coming back for multiplayer is some kind of progression system, right? And this is one of the main things that was sort of revolutionary about Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare, the original one way back in the day, was the progression system for a first-person shooter was sort of unlike anything we'd seen before, and obviously that has just kind of developed since then. And, you know, with Shogun 2, you did have your kind of progression system with the Avatar Conquest. I would love for some kind of, even if it's separate, like if you have like a ranked multiplayer system that has no progression tied to it so that it's not play to win and anyone can just jump in and compete. And then separately, you maybe have like an Avatar Conquest mode or something where you have some kind of progression-based system to keep people coming back, unlocking new stuff, customizing their things. They did say in the improvements that you'll be able to select factions, or colors, sorry, from any sub-faction. You'll pick the army, right? And then you'll pick the sub-faction's colors. So, like, the example they showed actually was a non-player faction. I think it was it for the High Elves, which would also suggest that the High Elves are available maybe in custom multiplayer. I'd have to go back and look at the specific screenshot, but I want to say it was in relation to the High Elves, and there was actually a picture of, like, the Citadel of Dusk or something, you know, some non player faction, right? Which I think would be awesome if there were, like, let's say, because some of the color schemes I love, but they're not available, right? Because they're not like player factions. So yeah, being able to just choose, like, I want to be Azag's color scheme because the black and gold looks good on every single faction, but I still want to be able to take Grom the Paunch. You will be able to now going forward. What does that mean for, you know, faction-specific characters? I'm hoping that means those faction-specific characters are just available for anyone. You don't have to be tied to the sub-faction, like, you know, Henri le Massif or, like, the Ethereal Thanes for the dwarfs. Hopefully they'll just be available to everyone. But that remains to be seen. this like half-deflated balloon floating around my office is kind of freaking my cat out right now. She's not sure what to make of it. Anyway, Fire Sorcerer up on the Manticore. We've got Chaos Marauders, Chaos Knights, Chariots, Chaos Warriors here for Deadly Bunnies, more Chaos Chariots. Yeah, all in on the shock damage build. Stormrunner coming in with Doomfire Warlocks. He's got some Dark Riders of Shields, Repeater Crossbows, a Chill of Sauntar, interesting choice, and the Blades of the Blood Queen. So, very kind of narrow, low model count mobile composition. But, oh man, this Sorcerer's in trouble. Marathi's coming through. Sorry, Rakarth. Rakarth is coming through with the Crows of Cain. Coming to butter that bread of that Lord. So all that the army needs to do in the meantime is just hold out. The Chili Boy helping to protect the Blades of the Blood Queen there from the Chariots, but there's more Chariots inbound and a Penumbral Pendulum. So unfortunately, Blades of the Blood Queen, or sorry, Burning Head, we're going to take quite a bit of shock damage initially, but they should be able to hold out. Once they turn around and start actually fighting the Chariot models, they should be just fine. But oh yeah, look at this. Look at this poor Sorcerer. He is just absolutely owned. Just in the most trouble ever, because Rakarth, anti-large AP Manticore. Manticores are already very strong. He's the strongest Manticore in the game. Meanwhile, the Dark Elf Cavalry definitely getting absolutely ransacked by Chaos Knights, but also trading reasonably effectively back into them. They do manage to break one unit of Chaos Knights, and the Chariots also being somewhat limited. Blades of Blood Queen did absolutely get smashed there, but now Rakarth was drawn down onto the ground. Nice hit and run on the Blades of Blood Queen from the Manticore Sorcerer there, and suddenly things all of a sudden aren't looking that great for Rakarth. He initially had a pretty good situation there, but suddenly this is not too great. Let's see though. Oh man! Ooh, big pit of shades from the Sorcerer of the Dark Elves way out in the distance there. Really nice casting distance actually, and that is going to clean up all of these infantry and also force the Chaos Knights away. Here comes the Sorcerer. That is a really risky dive, though. Why would you do that? Oh, man, Rakarth is right behind, and with the Frostbite effect, it's going to be an extra hit taken there. Even if he gets back up into the air, Rakarth, with the Frostbite, will be able to catch up to him until that wears off, which it does look like it already wore off, so that's fine. But the Chili Boy now getting into combat with the Chaos Knights. These repeater crossbows really need to wheel up and around, and we'll finish these Chaos Knights first and then come help finish these ones off as well. That AP damage is going to be very necessary. There's still 2 full units of Chaos Knights here, more or less, for the Chili Boy to try and fight. They're now going to absolutely destroy this Medusa without the Medusa being able to do much in return. But let's see. Chili Boy also fighting there. He's going to get some bites out of the back of those Knights. But if the Sorcerer can lead Rakarth away for long enough, that would work in the advantage of Warriors of Chaos quite a bit. Another Pit of Shade is going to be used here, again, going after the Knights. One way of dealing with them, certainly. Oh man, these doggos, they're going to charge the Blades of the Blood Queen. Blades take a single hit, a couple of hits. They're doing damage in return for sure. So those doggos, they do clean up, actually finish the unit off entirely, but take a couple of hits in return. Meanwhile, the repeater crossbow still struggling to finish off this last unit of Chaos Knights. Those Knights are just so resilient and scary that it's going to be tough, but let's see. The Chili Boy still having a hard time. Oh, Rakarth dropping in, getting a rear charge on the Chili Boy. Or, sorry, the Sorcerer. Chill of Sontar and General Hydras don't have the best leadership. It's probably their biggest downside, so let's see what Rakarth can do here. A Sorcerer probably has one more Pit of Shades left in the tank, but let's see. Big multi-terror route. Ooh, no! Oh, that was a horrible, just very slight slip-up on the micro, and the Chaos Sorcerer Lord gets caught by Rakarth. Just one more attack animation should finish him off. Can he get it done? Let's see. The Chili Boy is still holding out. Just the terror is such an issue for the Warriors of Chaos at this point. Looks like Melkoth mystifying me. Has to debuff the speed slightly. Rakarth gets an attack animation. Swing and a miss. Does not connect on that attack, but he should get one more here. He does not get that attack either. A very unfortunate situation. It looks like that speed debuff going to wear off there. But Stormrunner trying his best just to catch that Manticore. At this point, though, he might honestly be better off just starting to rear charge and support the Chill of Sontar to try and keep it sustaining as long as possible. The longer the Chill of Sontar is able to just sit and grind and heal, it's going to benefit the Dark Elves here. Yep, looks like the Lord does attempt to dive. However, it does not actually connect on the dive. Oh, Rakarth gets a hit there. That should be enough. 174 on the Sorcerer Lord. Rakarth could go for the killing blow now. Does he? No, he chooses to stay in the air once again, and just the presence of the Chili Boy is enough to rout the Sorcerer Lord. Here come the Karens of Cain. They should be able to get in there with their hunger and at least do a little bit of sustain. 48 melee defense plus that regeneration. They're not going to hold out for too long, but they'll do something. But yeah, Chili Boy's at risk of routing at this point, so Rakarth has no choice but to charge down, try and get some extra damage in on those Chaos Knights. That may allow this Sorcerer Lord to come back, start throwing some fireballs perhaps. Yeah, he does have fireballs, so a fireball from the distance is the best way of just utilizing that Wind's Magic to try and claw back, maybe get a little bit of damage on the Chili Boy specifically. But this grind now is going to be dangerous. The repeater crossbows really need to get in a position to try and support this pocket of single entities here, and they are almost in a position to do so, charging through those Marauders. And if they could get a rear charge in here to proc Terror Route, that would also be huge. It doesn't even matter that they don't even need the rear charge, just the Terror Route. The presence of the Chili Boy and Rakarth is enough in and of itself. The Fire Sorcerer can't stay on the battlefield, and it's looking pretty good for Stormrunner at this point. The Chili Boy build with Rakarth, what a wild one. Definitely pretty unexpected, but this could make a difference. Fireball lands on Rakarth's face, and he takes quite a bit of damage. Whip of Agony used on those Chaos Knights, though. That's going to significantly debuff their melee defense, which is a really good use of that. Chaos Knights with Sword and Shield have very good melee defense, so being able to lower that, just allow Rakarth to get those hits in, just guarantee that he'll get those hits in. The Frostbite of the Chili Boy also very important, as everything's exhausted now, so they're going to be very slow with that effect active. Let's see here. Sorceress is still alive. All these large units for Warriors of Chaos are just going to get punished pretty hard by Rakarth's Manticore here. Let's see. Yeah, maybe the landing option in Game 3 would have saved the Sorcerer, perhaps, although it may just risk, you know... Oh, the side-shotting breath! Oh, the humanity! Oh no, those Chaos Warriors just got absolutely frost-blasted, flash-frozen. Brutal side-shotting breath attack there, and it looks like Rakarth Stormrunner cleans up. Man, the Rakarth Manticore pick is an uncommon one, but I actually quite like it in this matchup for the reasons that we saw here. Flying Lord for Warriors of Chaos is not out of the question, and I mean, regardless of what Lord they take, anyone except Sigvald, pretty much, Rakarth's going to trade pretty decently into. And the Manticore, I mean, he does retain Murderous Prowess, as well as having all of his buffs and everything, so he can punch way above its weight class and kind of compete with the top tier of monsters, potentially. But very enjoyable game, well played to both. Round of applause from me. Stormrunner pulling out the victory there with a very interesting and fun build. Rakarth on the Manticore and the Chili Boy carrying very hard there, but the Repeater Crossbows also doing their part. For the Warriors of Chaos, the Sorcerer Lord got beat up, but that's okay. The Chaos Knights, very impressive. Power Swords are pretty good in this matchup, but what a game. GG's. Coop says, I would really enjoy having good multiplayer sieges in Warhammer. I agree, Coops, and it does look like it's going to be a lot more fun to play sieges in Game 3, you know, in actual multiplayer context. But Domination Mode also does sound new and fun. I agree. Let me get the scoreboard updated here. Well, this... Yes, Deadly Bunnies is there. And now we've got Stormrunner. Coming in with a big old score of 1. So let me go ahead and PM the details to the Emperor. Excellent. Fun. Yeah, Rakarth is a good time. Anytime you can see a wild Rakarth game, even though he was the Herald of Despair for all cavalry, like, Rakarth was such a good Beastmaster, he literally nerfed every single horse and horse-sized beast in the entire game when he came in. That's how strong Rakarth was. You think Nurgle looks bad to play in multiplayer? Nurgle has poor range defense, seems to specialize in the worst unit types in multiplayer. I'm not sure. I think they'll be fine. I mean, they have good flying mobile units, potentially. They're going to be the tankiest faction in the game, probably. Great Unclean One's going to be almost impossible to kill, I would imagine. They are not going to be very fun to play against, I think. Like, probably people will hate playing against them, but I think if they're balanced correctly, they could be super strong, in that they will be just ridiculously hard to kill. It's kind of like how vampire counts can just beat some factions straight up through attrition. I think Nurgle will be able to do the same. But obviously, I don't know yet. I haven't seen, roster reveal-wise anything, but I don't think... like, they have the Soul Grinder. That's a ranged unit, right? And, I don't know. They could be vulnerable to kind of the ranged kite sort of hit and run, but the issue is, if you don't have enough ammo or DPS output with that sort of light swarm hit and run style, like your light cavalry, your light force archers, whatever, are not going to be able to do enough damage to get through Nurgle, I would hope, right? So that would be, in my sort of ideal view, it would be that you can just weather the storm, right? Like, your countering to kite would be to just let it happen and just get shot a lot until they run out of ammunition and are forced to fight you in melee. I don't know. Yeah, Nurgle will probably play like vampire counts. They'll have more range tools than vampire counts, though. Yeah, both Nurgle and Slaanesh are going to be very limited on ranged, like even more so perhaps than Khorne. Khorne, at the very least, has an artillery chariot, which is awesome. Skull Cannon kind of gives him a unique, sort of very long-range option. All of them have Soul Grinders, which is a ranged option, assuming that they also give them a ranged loadout for Slaanesh and Nurgle. Yeah. I think the bloat flies, the bloat drones, those guys are going to be pretty important. And, like, the monsters of Nurgle that may potentially have some mobility, so that would be like the Soul Grinder, the Beast of Nurgle. I don't know if that thing's has any mobility, but like the Nurgle, what is it? Plague Toad, that's right. Let me actually switch the map up here. We'll go to... let's go to... Rot Ridge. Beautiful map. I don't know. That's a good question. I don't think so. Khorne's gonna suck into Wood Elves. Most likely, I think that's correct, but also consider perhaps not, because you have access to regular Chaos Warhounds, which are a great unit against Wood Elves in general. You also have access to the Flesh Hounds, so both of those units are pretty good fast attack units in the 90 speed range. Depending on how much the Flesh Hounds cost, it might not be that hard to go with like 4 dogs, 4 Flesh Hounds against Wood Elves, which is a lot of, hard-hitting, fast attack mobility. You back that up with a couple of Knights, and then just spam out some infantry, maybe a couple of shields. I don't know. It could be tough, definitely. But I think Khorne maybe could do it also. I want to get in and check that matchup out for myself, but it seems interesting. Just kind of theory crafting around, like, how would you actually approach that as Khorne? You do have really good shielded infantry, mid-tier though. You can't really go with a lot of numbers, which is why I would think it's almost necessary, critically necessary to take the fast attack units. I don't know though. Interesting. Yeah, the Khorne does have the motorcycle artillery. Yes, the skull cannon. So that's also probably going to be pretty good against the Wood Elves. Chariots are good against Wood Elves, and so is artillery. So I'd imagine, yeah, maybe like 1 or 2 skull cannons, tons of fast attack mobile units, maybe like a knight, a couple of shielded chaos warriors. I don't know. The dual wield warriors also, in theory, on paper, if they can get in contact with Wood Elf infantry, will destroy them. So yeah, Khorne also has tons of fire damage and magic damage, so I don't know. Like, I think Wood Elves could be a hard counter for Khorne, but it also could be a more even matchup than what some people think. Because, like, if you think about Norska versus Wood Elves, it's, like, relatively even to a degree, right? I don't know. We'll see. Khorne doesn't get Chaos Knights. Yes, they get the more expensive Chaos Knights, which are better, right? The Skull Crushers and the Blood Crushers, which I think the Blood Crushers having the physical resistance and the spell resistance especially will probably make them pretty decent specifically there. Skull Cannons. The thing about the Skull Cannon is it can try and it actually probably can dodge, considering it's fast enough. It actually probably can dodge Arrows of Kurnos, and like it's heavily armored as well and can heal by going in melee. So it's a lot, like probably 100 times less vulnerable than the actual Hell Cannon. So I don't know. I think the Skull Cannon will be a really good pick in that matchup. As long as you can screen it out and keep it away from getting blasted by like 5 Way Watchers or 3 Way Watchers or whatever. Yeah. Yeah, hopefully they'll be viable enough in multiplayer without needing too much DLC. But anyway, the Emperor coming in here with Warriors of Chaos. Speaking of which, we've got Sigvald the Magnificent, Warrior, Sorcerer Lord of Metal, yeah, Exalted Hero here. Some Marauders with great weapons. Chosen with Halberd, interesting choice. Chaos Warriors, Dragon Ogres as well. Nice mobile force here of some Marauder Horsemen, Poison Warhounds, and Chaos Warhounds. Greenskin side, I got some Skulkers way out there. 2 Giants, oh man. Skarsnik plus 2 Giants sitting on top of 2 Black Orcs. So a extremely strong center to just grind through everything. Night Goblin Shaman, Goblin Big Boss, and lots of Skirmish Cav. Interesting. Yeah, well, I mean, if you're not going full air spam, and I do think, you say there's no counterplay whatsoever for air spam. I don't necessarily agree with that. I think you can counterplay air spam, potentially. It's very tricky, but... like, full-on air spam with, like, Sisters and Max Eagles leaves you so thin, or Hawk Riders leaves you so thin on the ground that... I don't know. If the map's too small, you could just get caught and have your ground force get killed before you can do enough damage to thin out the Norscan army. Empire will be a good pick for Khorne, especially Nurgle. We'll see. Khorne, Empire can struggle sometimes with the really aggressive rush factions. Like, at least from my own perspective, Norska's not so hard, because you have enough fire damage to deal with some of their specialties, and, I don't know, countercharging Norska works okay. Greenskins can be a tough one as well, but again, somewhat cheesable with Terror. Same thing with Beastmen, like, kind of cheesable with Terror, but if they weren't cheesable with Terror, those 2 matchups would be much more difficult. And I think, since Demons don't rout, they're obviously not going to be cheesable with Terror, and, I don't know. We'll see. Just from my own perspective from being an Empire player, I look at Khorne and I'm like, this could be tricky. You're going to have to control their movements pretty well, and since Empire, believe it or not, actually doesn't have the best control tools in the world, like, yeah, you have nets, but, like, you don't have poison, you don't have that many speed debuffs. It could be tricky to try and keep Khorne under control. But for Nurgle, I do think, yeah, like, the heavy shooting DPS factions, I do think will be a pretty good choice for Nurgle. The Missile Cav also, I guess, of Empire could be pretty good against Khorne, now that I think about it. Again, if you can keep it away from some of the fast attack units. Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's crazy to think the last new faction we got was Vampire Coast, right? Everything else has just been rework of existing factions, bringing them up to speed. Magic resist nerf for Volkmar, for the Fey Enchantress. Who else is pretty egregious? Those are the two worst ones, I would say. Yeah, I could see Chaos Dwarfs after, like, the combined map. Like, kind of how Tomb Kings were the first DLC, I think, after the big combined map, right? They were the first DLC after Mortal Empires, I believe. So that would make sense to get Chaos Dwarfs after the big combined map. Oh, look at this! Trixie Trap's been used. And then Night Shroud going to be used after Trixie Traps to get a full uptime of stock and Unspottable. Wow. Big brain play right there. Not that it's going to do a ton for you. I mean, yeah, the Skulkers unfortunately do get spotted here. They're going to burn their Smoke Bomb, but it doesn't look like the Smoke Bomb actually hit these units over here, which is unfortunate. This absolute brick of units here. Looking to have a grand old time. Yeah, Chaos Dwarfs is definitely confirmed. It's just a matter of when the DLC will come. And I would expect it to come after the combined map is released, but we'll see. Pretty significant lag here. Hopefully it stabilizes. Yes. Here we go. It's funny how they're just barely getting spotted. Look at how close they are, and they're just barely getting spotted. So what that means is the Warriors of Chaos were not able to get any attack orders, even though they are, you know, pressuring over on the flanks over here. They haven't found this other Skulker yet, but pressuring over there as well. Sigvald and his squad's going to have to be careful, though. If they go 3v1 on Skarsnik, they could beat him up pretty quick. But let's see how this single entity fight plays out. Gabo Big Boss getting hit. Here comes the Manticore. Ooh, the Fungus is going to be used on the Sorcerer. Stand or Die has been popped as well, so that will counteract the melee defense debuff. Yeah, most of Big Bird's tankiness comes from his missile resistance. I think he actually only has like 25% magic resistance, but it will make a difference for sure. Oh, man. Maybe Southern Realms. Oh no, the Emperor's been dropped. Oh man, that's too bad. That can happen, unfortunately. Yeah, unfortunate. Let me see here. Give me just 1 second, guys. I'll be right back. That's all good, Emperor. I actually think I'm going to probably call the stream here. I do have some other stuff that I want to get to today, but I do appreciate all y'all for coming out. It's been an absolute pleasure. Yeah. Empire will be able to hold while their AP gets value. That's a good point, Doc. I mean, the numbers situation for Khorne is going to be like one of the worst of any factions. You'll pretty much always be outnumbered, which could be a serious issue, but we'll see. We'll definitely see. It's all good, the Emperor. Let me shoot you a PM. Yeah, that's going to be it for today. So thank you all so much. It's been an absolute pleasure. You guys are the best. Those of you watching after the fact especially, but, well, obviously the people here too, but not a ton of people watch the streams after the fact, so I just wanted to say those of you guys who do, I really do appreciate you. Those of you guys who are here live, obviously, you guys are also the best. Everyone's the best. Thanks so much.